Overwatch 2 isn't dead yet?
Question mark. So Blizzard is going to test the 6v6 matchups in Overwatch 2. Director Aaron Keller addresses the community demand, and test will explore different 6v6 formats with technological challenges and queue times being the major concerns. And no timeline for official testing has been decided yet. Why it matters, this move could reshape Overwatch 2's gameplay, responding to a vocal community and potentially reintroducing the popular 6v6 format. Cool, I guess. Like, good for them to try and go back to what started out as, I guess, but I don't know if it's one of those things where it's too little too late. And I don't know if it's one of those things where people care. I mean, obviously there's still a fan base, otherwise they wouldn't be doing updates for it. But I don't know, in the wake of Concord, like not really doing well in the beta numbers from what I've been told, and them opening it up early and extending it later because it's like pre-orders are trash. So like,
Yep.
is this like also kind of like Overwatch doing its like hit emergency button panic time mode? Is just like, oh, we need to increase our player count. Let's bring back 6v6 modes and say, oh, it's new now. It's like, no, it was there in the beginning. It should have never left, but say lovey. I don't. What are your thoughts on this? I know neither one of us cared to like. I never played Overwatch 2. I know you dabbled in it for a little bit. I don't know. Like, I know this is not going to move the needle for you, but like, what does this like say for you?
So it feels like this is their decision trying to get Overwatch 1 fans back into the game. Because we went from 2 tanks to 1. That's where they pulled that from. It definitely changed the rhythm and the feel of gameplay without that second tank in there.
Yeah.
And I think this is them trying to course correct because they see how bad this game is doing.
Right.
And I feel like it's a little too late. People don't want to play this. Like, yes, there's a new character that they've been trying out over the last week or whatever. People seem to be excited about that, but the ones that are playing, but hardcore, old fans are just like, nah, I'm good.
Right.
The game just doesn't feel the same. And yes, like you need to reiterate and you need to change things and all of that. But Overwatch 2, it overpromised and underdelivered. And now they're trying to backpedal really, really late in the game. Like they're going into season 11 right now, which is, it's crazy. But it's like, I think the damage is done here. Overwatch 2 is like, it's out the port. Like you're not going to, add, another cell on the ship. Like it's already out of the dry docks. Like I'll be curious to see what it does because we do have like Marvel Rivals. I feel like it has done really well in the beta phase. Like people are pretty excited about that. Concord, of course, nobody's really excited about it. But I just feel like the hero shooter, like it's getting kind of crowded right now, but also people aren't like excited about it.
Again, it's one of those things where this genre is trying to make a comeback, I guess you can say, and I think that was their thought process is like with Marvel Rivals and before the beta opened up Concord, like they're thinking, oh, these hero shooters are coming back. Well, how can we make ourselves relevant? And it's like, how about you actually make the game good? You know what I mean? Instead of just adding in a mode and like that you shouldn't have taken away from in the beginning. I agree with you. I think it's too little too late, but also it's just like it's in a genre that's pretty much on life support. Like no one, I don't think anyone cares for the hero shooter anymore. I know live service as in a whole is pretty much very spotty. Like I know you have your success stories like Helldivers 2, but you have so many underachievers to put it nicely. And it's just let it be what it is. I don't want to say Overwatch 2 is dead just yet, but it's pretty much there. It's got one foot in the grave for sure. Like, and it's just like it's kind of getting like how the Halo Infinite seasons were, but now Halo Infinite suffered from too long a seasons and not enough faster turnaround on their content updates. And then when they finally did it, it was like not what people wanted, and it was underwhelming and all that. So again, I think you should just let this game be what it is. Just I know Blizzard has invested too much money to just pretty much hit the let's stop doing it button.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the same time, it's like maybe you should work on something else or like move on.
Like I'm gonna just say this. This is how you fix Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
You release the single player part of the game. That
Fair.
was what people were super excited about, and then they just cut it out of nowhere.
Yep.
And then that was one of the huge reasons why I was just like, all right, I'm done. They have done pretty well with, new seasons and new characters. Like we've gotten new heroes in the thing. We've gotten some new maps as well.
I have seen Zoom now. Maybe it's because I don't pay attention to it as close as I used to, but I see like hardly any articles or any fanfare around when a new character drops like they used to. Because
Yeah.
when Overwatch 1, when they dropped a new character, they made a whole song and dance about it. Overwatch 2, like
Mhm.
in the beginning, like with their first couple characters, I saw that. But ever since then, it's just like, here's a new one. They're just kind of like, play with our new toy, and then that they just leave it at that, like no fanfare at all. And I'm just like, so are y'all giving up at this point?
Yeah, it definitely feels like that because there was more production around it. There was always these like vignettes that went with
Yeah.
it. It was a huge deal. And now, like, I feel like because they're putting out so many, it doesn't feel as special. But it is nice to see that new characters are coming in. But it's like when you are introducing new characters, you're always breaking the meta because the meta is always going to swing in favor of that character because you want people to play it. I want Overwatch to be successful, but I feel like they don't know what they're supposed to be at this point in time.
Right.
Murdoch says, I feel like a lot of games currently are down in numbers. And I do feel like people are kind of focusing on life right now. I know
Yeah.
I definitely feel that. I know Derek definitely feels that, like we're not kids anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't get to just like play video games whenever we want to.
Which is
But
sad because we have way more time than we used to. Like
yeah,
if you're like outside of work, because we don't have school, we don't have chores to worry about. Like yes, we do our own house cleaning from time to time, but we get to choose. We are not just woken up one day and be like, clean this.
but then there comes concerns with, just being adult. Can you afford to live? Because everything's getting flipping expensive all the time. I don't feel like people are playing live service games like we talked about this several weeks ago.
Hmm.
A lot of gamers are playing games that are 6+ years old.
Right.
And that's because gaming just kind of is for the most part because they're mostly live service games right now.
Right.
There are good single player games, don't get me wrong, but it feels like majority of it is live service. And yeah, Helldivers 2 is down to 24K players online, from 800,000 at launch. And like I know that they put out a huge trailer. They're doing like a huge push and new content and everything. Helldivers, I feel like, is the more successful
Oh yeah.
in keeping it interesting, but
Hmm.
after a while, it's like people get tired of a game. Like
Yeah.
that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like with anything. It's just like how many people like just in general, like unless it's like a really like riveting, like earth shattering show. But then again, even the ones that have like been Academy Award winners, very like heavy award nominees, there are just some things that don't click with people. Like how many like TV shows, like whether it's short binge or long binge, that people start and then they just kind of drop off after about a week, and then they're just like, I need to get around. How many times have we talked about? I need to get around to finishing this or blah 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 blah,
Yeah.
and it's just like yeah, it's true because it's just like we want something different, and I guess whether
Hmm.
it's instant gratification, whether it's just what how the world has formed our brains into functioning nowadays, like that's just how it is. Like people pick up like right now, like I finished finally got around to finishing Spy Family season 1 the other day, but
Yeah.
it's been a couple days since then. I'm like I need to start season 2, which I'll probably do after the show tonight, but I'm just like I've been wanting to start season 2, but just something in me, like every night I've had an excuse of like, why I can't start it.
Yeah. Well, I finished an anime Sunday
Hmm.
and I literally went from watching that anime and then I was
Hmm.
like, okay, I tried, I was reincarnated as a slime again. I was like,
Yeah.
that's not it. And then I started a movie And then I was like, that's not it. So then I started another show. I was like, that's not it. So I watched a YouTube video. I was like, that's not it. Like I kept jumping, like nothing was hitting the itch.
Yeah.
And then like I was just like, okay, I'm just not gonna do anything. Like I was like, nothing's hitting it. And then eventually I did start Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Mm.
So you can pop off in the chat on that. But to Nate's point here, he's like, I heard that game numbers always drop in the summer for some reason. I guess people vacationing and spending time with family. And that's also the truth with YouTube. During
Right.
the summer, the views go down because the
Mhm.
weather is nicer. People want to go out. They want to go exploring. They want to go on adventures while the weather is nice.
Well, and that too, and it's like your kids are home, like they're
Yep.
home for like 3 months,
Yep.
not going to school, and it's just like we need to get them out of the house because otherwise they're going to drive us crazy. So we need to do and just like spend time with them and be a family. So yeah, that summer is definitely a better time for that. Like I don't know if the weather's better because it's always hot as Hades now, especially if you live in the
Yeah.
South. But
Yeah.
like for the people that can tolerate it, they do that.
Nate says, I've been in the mood to play more relaxing games lately, like Little Kitty Big City, which is an amazing game. You should go check it out. Now I'm on Octopath Traveler, and I've tried a game called Manor Lords, which I've wanted to check that one out as well.
My only thing with like it's granted it is like turn based, so that's the only saving thing for Octopath. But those boss fights can take up to like 45 minutes, so it's just like I don't know if you want to call that relaxing, but sure.
Well, it's like less stakes. It's not as
Oh yeah.
active, if you know what I mean. But yeah, to Murdoch's point here, but people can't afford to keep buying other games, right? And I think that is the selling point of Game Pass. I think that is the thing that, Xbox is counting on. And that's what all the streaming services, which they keep getting more and more expensive as well. But it's like, oh, well, it's cheaper than going to the movies. It's
Mhm.
cheaper than going renting something, which we don't have these anymore, but Blockbuster, Movie Gallery, that sort of deal, Hollywood Video. Well, yeah, but like you keep increasing the price because you can't keep dumping hard-earned money into all of this. And I agree
Yeah.
100%. You got to save money someplace.
Yeah.
Like I even canceled my Game Pass just
Oh
because I
wow.
needed to save money. Also, I haven't been playing as much the last month.
Right. So
So,
it's also
last 2 months.
justified.
That's why going back to older games, like I still got games. I got Ratchet and Clank over here that Rift Apart that needs to get played. Have I
Mhm.
jumped onto it? No. Did I finish Diablo 4? No. Did I buy College Football 25? Yes. You know what I mean? But it's like it's all in what you want to play. And then you've got games that are coming out on PlayStation Plus that every month you're getting new stuff.
Yep.
And it's like I feel like we're so inundated with choices that we
Mhm.
don't make a choice. That's
Oh
why you
yeah.
get on Netflix or Crunchyroll or whatever, and you just scroll and you're like, I don't know what to watch.
Right. And I mean, this is where we're basically getting paralyzed with option fear, is what I call it, because it's like we have back in the day, ketchup just to use to be ketchup, right? So now you have sugar free, you have organic, you have like all this other stuff. And then now, like, I finally was like in the condiment section the other day, stocking stuff, and I was looking at the ranch. Like Hidden Valley Ranch used to be Hidden Valley Ranch. And of course, there's light, but now it's like, oh, we have bacon flavored ranch now. I'm just like, man, like we are just like so like now, granted, when it comes to food, still we have option paralysis because if you go to like the Cheesecake Factory, they have like eight like an encyclopedia for a menu, and you just have unlimited choices. But like the food is food. Like those are
Hmm.
some good choices. But when it comes to like spending, like choosing, like especially like for our instance, right? Like after I got done making the doc, I'm like, man, kind of want to get back to my choices were either starting Spy Family season 2, playing college football, or going back to A Plague Tale Requiem. And I'm just like, those are all choices that I need to do, but I've only got a limited amount of time. So it's like, what do I go with? Like the entertainment industry is definitely the worst because it's like, oh, all these movies, all these shows, like all these games, and like you talked about what's coming out like on like PlayStation Plus, Game Pass. Not to mention all the games that are coming out. Like we got Star Wars Outlaws in a month, and then like literally a week after that is Astrobot.
Yeah.
So it's going to be ridiculous, and then the fall is just crazy with releases. So it's definitely going to be pinch your pennies and pick what you want to actually play and spend your time with.
I think that really comes down to, figuring out what you want to prioritize. What are the things that you see value in,
Right.
and what your budget will allow you to do.
Correct.
Because I think that's the biggest thing, because we all have a backlog that we
Yep.
haven't touched. Even Dan, he's like, I still need to find it, finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And like, I've still got Final Fantasy Remake that I haven't even touched.
Yeah.
And, it's just like, I want to play so many games, but it's, you get to that point where it's just like, I don't know what to play. I
Yeah.
like none of it's hitting or anything, and just I feel like we're in this weird period where we've got too many decisions,
Right.
um, which I feel like we're just old people yelling at clouds right now. It's like too many decisions, that sort of deal. But it definitely does have its own issues when it comes down to it.